What's up, everybody? My name's Josh Mahoney. I'm a professional photographer, but I like to consider myself more of a creative jack of all trades. I was born in Toronto, but I spent a lot of time in Oshawa, where I grew up playing hockey, riding bikes, doing graffiti, getting into trouble, typical Canadian kid shit in the 90s. And I'm thankful for that town. It's where I fell in love with music, art, and photography, as well collecting stuff. And it really inspired me to get out and explore more. So I did just that. Yo, where's my whiteboard? Where's Doom?
So I knew I was going to do a YouTube channel. I really wasn't sure what to do it about. I knew I was going to use a whiteboard, as evidence here by use of the whiteboard. I like reviews on YouTube. I think they're really helpful. There's a lot. There's tech reviews, there's gear reviews, but that's just the thing. There's a lot. So I drew a snowman here to demonstrate just how many reviews there are. So I'm gonna move on and clean that whiteboard up. Maybe try and get it a little straighter this time. There you go. I love hip hop. I love music. YouTube's good for that. Maybe could do some content about that. I don't know. There's maybe a lot of that stuff too. So let's get that whiteboard cleaned up and see what else I can come up with. I like politics. I'm a real fan of politics, but this is a little negative right now. I'm trying to keep things a little bit more positive, a little bit more happy, a little less negative. A little more positive, a little less negative. You know what I mean? Just trying to live, just trying to keep a happy face on and maybe create a bright spot for people instead of just barking about politics all the time. I love people. I was a wedding photographer for a long time. I love stories. And I love interviews. I'm gonna have to talk to a lot of people to kind of like figure out what makes them move, what gets them going. I love portraits. I love lighting. So maybe we can make some content about that or not. I don't know. Just trying to explore here. That's the whole point of the whiteboard. You know, just to get your thoughts out there. Do a little brainstorming. I like books and media. As a matter of fact, I love books and media. I got a huge collection of books and magazines and stuff, and you gotta want to create that stuff. You gotta want to make books and media, because sometimes making that stuff doesn't always pay. You gotta do it because you love it. So what about talking about books and media and like making stuff? Making and creating stuff. What about what inspired books and media, or maybe how people get inspired? Because sometimes, especially these days, it's tough. Like what I don't know what I didn't write anything there. I ran out of ideas, so it just needed a fresh palette. So get that whiteboard cleaned up, and about what inspires people is like the secret sauce to figuring out what you can do to inspire yourself. If you're like looking for inspiration, maybe you can hear from other people what inspires them. That's a little bit more positive than just always looking for information. You can hear from other people, because inspiration is the secret sauce. I love being inspired, and I love the things that inspire other people, and I want to hear more about it. So let's do a show about inspiration, because the song Northern Touch really inspired me. So I was going to name the channel that. The song came out in 1997. I've been listening ever since. Like and subscribe if you get a chance. That'd be great.
So in 2000, I packed up my stuff, jumped on a bus, and I moved to New York City. I had $1,000, a backpack, and a camera. If you can believe it, my first creative job was working for 36 Chambers, aka Wu-Tang Clan. From there, I went on to paint the Sykes at Fast Ashley's. I was a first assistant to some of the best photographers in New York City, and I spent tons of time in the equipment room at Pier 59. But for the last 15 years, I've been out on my own as a professional photographer, or creative jack of all trades. And it means the absolute world. I've been a drone pilot, a marketer, a strategizer, designer, business owner, and on top of that, I'm a husband and father. And to do all that, you gotta be inspired. And that's what I wanted to focus this channel on, inspiration. Because to me, inspiration is the secret sauce to making things happen. Because when you're inspired, you can make big things happen.
So if I'm going to find out what really inspires people, I'm going to have to put my journalist cap on and ask some questions. So I thought I'd write those questions down in this notebook with the 3-inch marker, of course, because that's very traditional. But I thought I'd start with my friend Benoit. He's a French photographer. He's born in France in a town called Dijon. He's been here in the United States since about 1983. He was a photo assistant to Annie Leibovitz. He's a father and husband as well. He's an absolutely awesome portrait photographer, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to say about inspiration. The more people we ask and the more people we talk to about what inspires them, we can take a little bit of that and apply it to our own journey.
All right. Hi, Benoit.
How are you?
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
So, Benoit, I'm going to start by saying I think you're a fabulous photographer.
Thank
we
you.
live very close, and I'm thankful for that.
Me too.
You have given me a photo that's very close to and near and dear to my heart, that Anthony Bourdain photo. I'm thankful for that.
You're welcome.
Benoit, you were a photo assistant for many, many years and have been a professional photographer for a lot of years. And I'm really thankful that you were able to sit down and talk to me today.
You're welcome.
Right on.
I'm very happy
So,
to do that.
my show is called Northern Touch, and it's about inspiration.
Okay.
And I got a few questions for you about inspiration.
Okay.
So, what is your main source of inspiration?
I would say that the main source of inspiration is my family. It started with my family when I was a little kid. I got my camera when I was like 7 years old, and I've taken pictures of my family ever since. And now, throughout the years, it's been my children, and I take photographs just like I take photographs of my family.
Good. Right on. Are you more motivated or inspired to take photos?
Well, nowadays I'm more inspired to take photographs than motivated. My children are grown, and I don't have the same needs
Right on.
to be taking photographs, but it was always an inspiration. I'm always inspired to take pictures.
Right on. For me, as I've been putting this channel together and looking more at the difference between motivation and inspiration, I have to look at it from different perspectives as well, because I wake up some days and I'm not so motivated, but I am inspired, right? Like when I come to your house, I see a lot of things that inspire me, but they don't necessarily motivate me. So that's kind of what I'm looking to explore here, is what inspires people versus motivates them. But ultimately, I think inspiration is the fuel for creativity. So I'm trying to find out what it is that like really drives people, really gets them going in the morning, So I love to hear it. And what do you hope that people remember most about your photos?
I hope that people will appreciate the thought that I brought to take their photographs, and I hope the photographs over the years will grow on them, and they will remember me for the photographs that I took of them and the time that I spent with them.
Right on. Cool. What's your favorite thing about photography?
Meeting people.
Right on. Love it. Love it. Well, I'm glad I met you.
Me too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
30 years ago. Horses. This is pretty cool. Wow. And this is 6th Avenue, about 30 years ago in New York City. Look at that. There's nobody.
Wow.
It's pretty wild. Huh? You don't see this enough. This is Pennington, where they used to have snow.
What started as an obsession collecting hockey cards evolved into a lifelong love affair with printed media. From tapes and records to CDs, books, magazines, show flyers, notes from high school, Christmas cards from clients, I keep everything.
I love collecting books of all sorts, but mainly photo books. It's the best way to do research before the internet. That's how we did it. I thought I'd start here with one of my favorite photographers, Todd Hito. This is a beautiful monograph called Roaming. Todd Hito is a professor at the California College of Arts, San Francisco. He's published a lot of books and had a lot of gallery shows as well. Mainly known for his landscapes. These are just a few of his photos. I highly recommend checking out the work of Todd Hito. Walter Eos Jr. has photographed some of the most iconic images in sports history. This is just a small sampling of the book. He's a classic photographer in every sense, but also timeless, that some of these photos, we just don't do stuff like this anymore. The grain, the richness, the temperature of the photos is so real, and this is an absolutely beautiful book. Richard Avedon is one of America's most important photographers, another cultural icon. If you're not familiar with his work directly, you've seen work influenced by Richard Avedon. I guess you'd say he's the photographer's photographer. Everybody's sort of looking to want to create images as iconic as Richard Avedon. If you're not familiar with his photos, I highly recommend. Bobito Garcia is another cultural icon from New York City, and this is easily one of the most beautiful books ever published. It's a expose of shoes and sneakers and basketball culture like no other book ever published. I highly recommend. Where'd you get those? Design is also a really big inspiration for me. In this case, it's more about the design than the shoe. This is the Nike Huarache, designed by Tinker Hatfield, also famous for Air Max 90, Jordan 4s, Air Max 1. I just think it's a really interesting design. It was originally designed as a basketball shoe, but more repurposed into a leisure shoe later on. I just think it's a really awesome design. I've got a huge collection of magazines. I've been collecting my whole life. YRB is a really cool one. Thankful to have contributed to this a few times. Really stiff cover, good quality paper, always interesting content. It's a good one. Fader is classic, absolutely beautiful, quality magazine. It's some amazing content. Look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. Kick Exclusive. Thankful to have been a part of the Kick Exclusive crew. It's Bobito on the cover. That's a photo of mine. Big shout out to Louis Cologne and Jason Cologne. Still friends to this day. Really thankful for that opportunity. This is another photo of mine I'm real proud of. Spike Lee on the cover there. Louis and I went to NYU to connect with Spike. That was a really great experience. One I'll always remember. It was a lot of fun. Little pro photo manual. I keep stuff like this. I think it's fun and cool. There's a lot of interesting details in there about the lights. Wax Poetic has got to be one of the most beautiful magazines ever published. The quality is 100% top tier. Good quality paper, cover, content, photos. Just a beautiful magazine. Nonstop. One of the hundreds of graph mags I have. I'll spend my last $5 on a graph magazine, even if it isn't in English. I don't care. Nat Geo, classic, absolutely beautiful. I've read hundreds of Nat Geos. We had a subscription for years. It's the pinnacle of magazine. Stop Smiling is with Hunter S. Thompson on the cover. He's a huge inspiration of mine. I don't have many Stop Smiling magazines. I probably have this one only for him. Tokyon, really cool art magazine. A little more focused on art and music. Misbehave was an early 2000s fashion and culture magazine. Really well done. Anthem, music and culture. Kool-Aid, Friends of ours put that out, or was a part of it. It was a very cool indie publication, arts and music and culture, really cool. Or a magazine, mostly music, culture, indie music. Accelerator, focused on design. Had some good photos in it along the way. Really cool magazine for sure. Got a bunch of those. Animals, one of the best magazines ever printed. That's a hill I'll die on. We've got every single one of them. I've read each of them front to back. It's an absolutely brilliant magazine. Real estate, another graph mag, got lots of those. This is a little bit culture, graffiti, across the board. Really cool magazine. Re-Up, you don't see many magazines printed in square format. This hasn't published in years. Very cool magazine. While You Were Sleeping was a graffiti culture magazine. Very cool, limited run, only came out a couple years. Source was focused on photo. Just beautiful quality, beautiful photos. Antenna was a culture magazine. Wire, I've got a couple of those. It was a mid-mag, it was all right. I liked Wire, it was cool, happy to have that one. And the greatest magazine of all time, Bong. So for better or worse, I've got thousands of CDs. If you are into collecting music and buying music, this is what you had to do for a while. And I don't even think CDs were that great, to be honest. A little clunky and big and awkward, and a lot of times the inserts and the stuff wasn't that cool. And this isn't an effort to show off my stuff, but more just to show that I've been collecting music and media forever, and I've looked over the liner notes and looked at the photos to all of these CDs extensively. That's probably my favorite part, beyond listening to the music, I guess, is kind of exploring the artwork and like seeing who did it, because ultimately this is the end result of people being inspired, the cover art, the packaging, and the music. And having that as fuel when you need it is important, and music is a big part of being inspired. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these CDs. Maybe somebody will want them at some point. My kids don't seem super interested, but I'm thankful for the music, and I'm thankful to have them all. The very first thing I did with my first paycheck was go to the mall, and I bought some tapes. I've been buying and collecting tapes my whole life. I've got a 4-foot high stack of tapes that are, on a rack somewhere. I've got boxes and boxes of tapes that I recorded off the radio. I spent hours poring over the liner notes and looking at the pictures. I just love tapes. This is just a small collection of the ones that are like personal and special. Don't keep them on the rack with the rest. As well as tapes, the first thing I bought was records. Nas was my first record. J. Rue the Damager was probably my second record. Curious was my third. Some of these are my favorite photos of all time too. Danny Hastings photographed this one right here. Absolutely one of my favorite photographers of all time. And these photos and the music was very inspirational and inspired me to want to take photos that looked like the covers. This one right here is from some friends from Oshawa. Looks like a patch. I thought that was really dope. And this Funk Dubious cover I always thought was real beautiful. Growing up in the 90s in Toronto and Oshawa, the main way that people got their message out for their show or event was through tangible media. Some sort of printed card or flyer that was posted on an electrical pole, or on a post board at a coffee shop, or sitting next to the cash register at a sneaker store or at a record store. And even if I wasn't going to the event, I always made sure to collect the flyer because I thought they were really cool. I did manage to go to most of the events, but even if I didn't, I collected the flyer. The postcards are still something I look back on it's for memory sauce, if you will. But the cards were always really cool, and thought they were really a good thing to collect. I wanted to check out the work of Minneapolis-born photographer Dan Monick. Dan is a Los Angeles-based photographer and director, but for the sake of this media review, I thought we would check out his work with the Rhymesayers Collective and the group Atmosphere. 7 is the book here, 7 years spent with Rhymesayers and Atmosphere. If you are a fan of Atmosphere and Rhymesayers, this book is an absolute must-have. Full disclosure, I'm a huge fan of the group and the record label, which is why I have so many records and the book. It's clear that throughout the book, Dan has a solid connection with everybody in Rhymesayers, including Slug, who at one point was a roommate. There are behind-the-scenes photos and portraits that are only available in the book. So if you are a fan of the record label, this book has to be on your shelf. Most recently, I took my son to see Mr. Dibbs, Atmosphere, and Sage Francis in concert. It was his first live rap show, and that was an awesome experience. The God Loves Ugly album cover I thought was really awesome always. It's a solid album. My wife also is a huge fan of Atmosphere. She got Slug to sign the record when it came out live on tour, going way, way back. I won't say how many years ago. The Fishing Blues album is a solid album. Again, not a music review site. Do check it out, but the packaging here, if you don't get a chance to get the 12-inch, is really cool. If you never got a chance to open it up and peek around in it, all of the inserts are reflective of the music. So it's very much a collaborative project between Atmosphere and Dan Monick. I'm a huge fan of tactile print media, so listening to the music and holding the inserts is one of my favorite things to do. So I highly recommend getting a hold of the Fishing Blues album if you can. The Lucy Forward EP, again, some really cool cover artwork and music as well. The gentleman here with the tattoo across his chest is Patty from the group Dillinger 4, who Dan Monick has worked with in the past. They're also a Minneapolis-based band. The Me Vita Local album, solid album, really cool artwork. I thought Dan really nailed the portraits, especially the fold photo here. Even more so because they're drinking coffee. Looks like black coffee too. I'm a huge fan of black coffee, so shout out Slug and Ant for drinking black coffee. The album was packaged with some coupons for local businesses, all long since expired, but I thought it'd be cool to hold on to, and an enamel pin. I'm a sucker for pins. The album sleeves are embossed, feel real nice. Atmosphere and Rhymesayers in particular always put out amazing packages. All of their merch and media is always well done. Let's peek that photo one more time. It's really well done. Modern Man's Hustle and the God Loves Ugly album covers I thought always were really well done. Really speak to the music. Just really solid photos.
I wanted to make this channel and share this video because I'm a huge believer in the power of inspiration. I'm living proof. What I shared inspired me to pack up my bags and jump on a bus and move to a city I've never been to before to try and make things happen. My goal with this channel is to gather data and intel on what inspires people. Because if we can hear from others on what inspired them to take pictures, direct movies, write books, build businesses, and play sports, then maybe you can use that information as fuel for your own journey, no matter what it is. Because when you're inspired, you can make big things happen.